I don't know how you found us, but I'm glad you did. It's the If It Sports Podcast, episode number 18. All right, this is Josh. I got my main man, Trav, here. Trav, I know you're doing pretty good this week after the Niners got another win.
Yeah, another big win. Jimmy G pulled out another one. So are you doing all right after last week? I know you took a big loss with the Wentz going down there.
Yeah, Foles, he looks like he's going to be adequate. We got a nice win this week as well with the Eagles, so I'm off the edge of the cliff. And then, getting all those listeners to go out there and subscribe. Just keep doing that on your favorite platform, whether it's iTunes, Google Play Music Store, just wherever. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. While we're here, Trav, let's go ahead and get into some football action this week.
It's football. I've been watching it for 40 years. 40 years.
All right, NFL Week 15. We had some big games this past weekend. We'll just get right into it. The first big story we had was that New England at Pittsburgh game. A lot of big calls in that game, some controversial calls, some big plays from both teams. What did you take away from that game, Josh?
I mean, my overall takeaway just comes down to New England getting it done when given the opportunity. I think Pittsburgh had the chances to win this game. The fourth down drive, or the drive that they were having in the fourth quarter, Brady threw one right to one of the D-backs from the Steelers, and they just didn't take advantage of the opportunity and intercept that one. Gave him the opportunity to drive down the field and score. And then, I definitely didn't expect the Steelers to make that charge like they did at the end. And then controversial call there. Was that a catch? You see them really having the right angles and everything to be able to reverse that catch by Jesse James?
Yeah, I think they got the call right on the field. It was a big play at a big time during the game, but clearly you could see the ball move. I mean, it took the on TV announcers a couple minutes to even realize what they were taking so long to review.
Yeah.
I kind of saw it the whole time, but eventually they did see where the ball moved, and I think the refs got it right. With that move he made towards the end zone and making that football move, he just didn't hold the ball there. The ball moved in his hand and it hit the ground. So, it's not a catch.
By the rule, it's not. I think by the rule they implement it, that is not a catch. I think if the defensive back from New England, if he came up and touched him while he was on his knees before he got to the end zone,
he would have been down.
I think he would have been down, and that's a catch.
Touchdown.
So they'd have been about a yard short of the end zone there. But where he made that athletic move trying to get to the end zone, I think ultimately that probably caused it from being a completion. Now, I think fans and everybody has the right to say, should the league be penalizing these guys for making athletic plays? He's just trying to get in there. I don't know. It's tough. I think that we've had a couple of these, the Des Bryant catch, the Calvin Johnson catch. It makes people kind of question, and everybody talks about it. All the announcers go, we don't know what a catch is anymore. But, on the field it looked like a catch, but when you slowed it down and definitely when you see the ball move across the end zone, I think the refs got it right.
Yeah, I think we know what a catch is, but I think so much of the instant replay being involved in the game now with the slowing down of the play, it gives us a chance to really see what's going on during that play. And then so with everything slowed down, you kind of see what really is going on. A few years back maybe that play goes bang bang, touchdown, let's go kick the extra point, keep it moving.
You say it slowed down there with the instant replay, but I don't think it slowed down for Roethlisberger there at the end. Do you think he kind of lost his cool with the fake spike attempt that he tried?
Yeah, that whole sequence of events after the catch on the side, the catch, and then the tackle before the guy got out of bounds, so the clock's still running. I think Roethlisberger said that he was calling to clock it. I think he got some information in through his headset and his helmet telling him not to clock it. A couple of different coaches in his ear right there. So, and then that's where he decided to go ahead and try to make that throw. I don't think personally that the fake spike fooled anybody on the Patriots team.
Not at all. It looked like it fooled a lot of the Steelers players. Only one guy was out on a route.
Right. So they didn't really know what was going on themselves. We've seen Roethlisberger run this play before. Obviously, Bill Belichick and the coaching mind that he was prepared for this play. So, everybody was ready. Everybody knew what was going on there. I think you got, at the least, he's got to throw the ball away. if the guy's not open.
Well, I thought the receiver should have run a fade to the end zone instead of across the middle. He went right to where all the defensive players were in the middle, only guy on the route. And then second of all, when Roethlisberger sees that, he's got to sail one into the stands real quick and just get that field goal to tie the game up.
Yeah, just throw it away, Ben. I mean, you cost your team the game right there. At the least, you got to come out there with 3 points, go to overtime.
Now, we've seen another quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. He's run this fake spike attempt before. He traveled down to North Carolina to take on the Panthers. That was a big game for them.
Big game, Green Bay down in Carolina. Cam Newton and the Panthers came out with another victory. Big win. Cam ended up throwing for about 240 yards and 4 touchdowns. I think on that first drive, Christian McCaffrey touched the ball like 9 times, ended up scoring on a 7-yard pass. So he was really involved in that first drive. Aaron Rodgers, you could definitely tell there was a little rust on him. He ended up throwing 3 picks, even though they did have a chance to win it in the end. He kept them close. Just too many turnovers in that game for the Pack, though, to overcome. But like I said, Aaron Rodgers is still looking rusty, and I think we've even found out that they've shut him down.
Yeah, shut him down for the year after they lost that game, and then the Falcons won on Monday night, so that kind of knocked them out of the playoff contention. Yeah, as rusty as he looked when Green Bay scored there, and then they got the onside kick, my expectation was that Rodgers was going to do it again and pull out some miracle. It didn't happen, but it was a valiant effort by him. Big, huge win by Carolina. We kind of talked about this game a little bit last week, and we had a caller that actually called in and called us out on that. So let's go ahead and get to that clip.
Sorry, mister. North Carolina Panthers is going to win, man. Cam Newton is better than Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers doesn't have a chance for you bunch of cheeseheads. And besides, the North Division doesn't have a chance to win ever. To get anything. And whatever they're going to get, they're going to get their ass kicked out very fast. And very soon, likely, all 4 teams in the North Division will all get kicked out. And no one's going to get to come back ever. So, that's the way it goes, you bunch of losers over there. And think you don't like it, you can stick that where the sun don't shine.
Oh, Teddy B, thanks for that call. He called us out on being some cheeseheads.
He's a big-time North Carolina Panther fan.
Yeah, Teddy, call back in any time and drop that knowledge for us.
All right, so moving out of the NFC South, we're going to move out to the NFC West where we had a big game. That had the L.A. Rams taking on the Seattle Seahawks out in Seattle.
Big game there, or at least on paper, what we thought was going to be a big game. Rams really put an end to this game quick, 42-7. Just really total domination on that one. Todd Gurley was a beast on the ground, over 150 yards, 4 TDs total. He's in the MVP race contention right now. I think he may be the next running back to win that one. I think we have to go back to 2012 when Adrian Peterson won it as a running back. So it's just an impressive season that he's put up. The Rams are legit. Anytime that you go into Seattle and get a win, Seattle's banged up a little bit. I think they had some spirits dashed from that loss to the Jaguars last week. But, anytime you go into Seattle and get a win, you count that as a quality win.
Definitely, Josh. This was just a convincing win all the way around for the Rams. I mean, they just went in there. I mean, they were up 35-0 at halftime. They were pretty much – that game was pretty much over at halftime with the Rams being up 35-0. Like you said, Gurley ran for 152 on 4 touchdowns. Seattle, this pretty much hurt their confidence. I think they're pretty much done for the year. Go ahead and shut them down.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I don't see them getting in there, getting into the playoffs. Rams playing good ball. Gurley running the ball well. Defense playing good. So just a convincing win on the road, 42-7 over the Seahawks.
Switch over to the AFC West. This is a matchup that we've been watching for the last couple of weeks there. You took the Chiefs, I took the Chargers. They went head-to-head, and really the winner of this game probably takes control of the West and is going to lock in that playoff berth. I thought the Chargers had it in them, but they didn't. Your Chiefs, they rolled.
Yeah, my Chiefs rolled like I said they would. Alex Smith was solid once again. Looks like they're getting that run game back on track. Hunt starting to run the ball well again. You got Tyreek Hill He's looking fast out there.
Explosive plays from him.
Explosive all over the field. And then it came down to Phillip Rivers, helped him out a little bit as well. He did turn the ball over 3 times. 2 of those picks came in the fourth quarter. I think they had a fumble in the fourth quarter as well. So, I mean, the Chiefs just rolled on them. That's their 8th straight win over the Chargers. Looks like the Chiefs are going to have to lose those last 2 games, and Oakland or the Chargers are going to have to win out for Kansas City not to get in. So chances are looking pretty good for Kansas City holding down their spot right there.
Yeah, definitely. Rivers wasn't on the same page as his wide receiver. I think 2 of those interceptions in the fourth quarter, Rivers threw it to the outside, wide receiver broke to the inside. I mean, at this point of the season, you think you've got your timing and everything worked out with your wide receivers. And then, yeah, you hit the nail on the head there. They let Hunt get loose, over 200 yards of total offense, 2 TDs. That's the success that the Chiefs need, just running the ball good there. And, Smith's going to give you a good performance as well. So you won that bet. I don't know if you've got any money coming to you there, but you got any saved up that you want to go ahead and buy the Panthers?
Yeah, it would be nice. It looks like they are up for sale right now.
Yeah, they've got a guy that's interested in them.
Yeah, it looks like Sean P. Diddy Combs is one of the guys interested in purchasing the Panthers. I think he's got some support from Steph Curry as well as Colin Kaepernick if he's not the quarterback on that P. Diddy-led team.
Yeah, that's what P. Diddy was wanting to do, was bring Kaepernick in there and let him be the quarterback for the team. It's kind of questionable there when you've got a top 5 quarterback in Cam already on the team. You really don't want that controversy of a backup quarterback.
No, that's just Diddy showing he doesn't know a whole lot about football. I mean, he's got the money to probably buy the team, but I don't think you want to bring Kaepernick and in there in competition against Cam Newton. I don't know how well those two would mesh together with the personality and ego that those guys have. So.
Yeah, and especially if you're really wanting to help Kaepernick out there, it doesn't really help his platform if he's the backup quarterback for Carolina.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he wants to come in there, the ownership or put him in the front office, that's a good position for him.
Yeah, probably be better suited in the front office if you want to bring Cap in and let him work with you up top, but definitely not on the field there against Cam. Go ahead and let Cam continue to run this team the way he's doing there.
Yeah, I mean, he couldn't do any worse than their current owner. It looks like he's maybe in a little hot water for some of his comments to some of the employees. He really likes talking about the way that they put on their jeans. So just a heads up to any NFL owners, when you're talking to your employees, if they put on jeans, just don't ask them how they put it on. Some of the bad news that we also get to is injuries during the week. Trav, any bad injuries that caught your eye this week?
Yeah, we did have an injury in that Pittsburgh and New England game. Antonio Brown, the wide receiver of the Pittsburgh Steelers, looks like he went down with the left calf injury. I think he's got a partially torn calf muscle, so I think they're going to shut him down for the rest of the regular season. He should be good to go by playoff time.
Yeah, I hope so. If he's not in there, that's a huge loss for the Steelers.
Should be good to go by playoff time. Another key injury, one from San Fran, a little closer to home, Aldrick Robinson, a wide receiver. Looks like he was injured in the first quarter against the Titans. They brought him back to the locker room for further evaluation. Looks like he got a concussion, so he'll probably be in the concussion protocol this week. So that'd be a big loss for Jimmy G, the way that he's been playing to lose another receiver after we've already lost Pierre Garçon for the year. So definitely want to keep all the receivers on the field that they can.
Yeah, we talked about the Packers shutting down Aaron Rodgers, and one of the weapons for the Packers, their wide receiver Devontae Adams. He left the game with a concussion. He's going to be in the protocol there. Looks like the guy from Carolina that did that, Davis. He's suspended, right?
Davis is suspended. I think he was suspended for 2 games. He did appeal that suspension, and they have reduced that to a 1-game suspension.
And then one other that I saw there was Jeremy Maclin, wide receiver for the Ravens. He had took a hard hit. He'll probably be back next week there, but that's a big loss for them.
And one injury we do need to revisit from last week was the Ryan Shazier injury. So we did see him up in the booth at the Pittsburgh game, so that was, a bright spot there to see him out.
Very promising to see him out there.
Yeah, so brought some excitement to him up in the booth waving the terrible towel. So I hope that he's progressing well. We have heard that he's starting physical therapy, so definitely some good things coming out of that camp.
Make the ground shake.
Power rankings time. I think after week 15, we really got some of the best at the top right now. Makes it a little bit tougher to pick the top 5. There's some really good teams that get left out. But Trav, let's run down it. Who's your top 5 right now?
All right, Josh, getting right into my top 5. I'm going to go with that number 5, Los Angeles Rams. They had a convincing win, like we've already talked about, over Seattle, 42-7 on the road, hostile environment, being up 35-0 at halftime, clicking on all cylinders. They're 10-4, pretty much in control of that NFC West at this time. At number 4, I've got the Minnesota Vikings. They're sitting at 11-3. They've only got those 3 losses on the season. Second best record in the NFC. Case Keenum continues to ball out. He's completing 67% of his passes. He's thrown for 3,200 yards, 20 touchdowns, and only 7 interceptions. He's got Latavius Murray running the ball well. That last game he had 76 yards, and I think they had a defensive touchdown in that last game. So got them sitting at a strong number 4. At number 3, I've got your Eagles. Foles coming off a very strong game, 4 touchdowns. They were able to rally from 14 points down to beat the New York Giants 34-29, even without Carson Wentz in the game. Think they locked up the NFC East with that win.
They did, and home field advantage.
So definitely looking strong right there, sitting at number 3. At number 2, I've got the Steelers. Even with the loss to New England, I'm keeping them at the number 2 spot. I mean, it was a little controversy in that loss. They were playing the New England Patriots. Still got to keep them above Philly just because Philly, lost their starting quarterback Wentz, so I think that kind of gives Pittsburgh a little edge over them in the rankings. Going to have to go on I think Pittsburgh's going to have to probably go on the road in the playoffs with that loss to the Patriots at some point. I think Pittsburgh locked up the AFC North, so even in doing that, I feel that they're probably going to have to go on the road with that loss against the Patriots. At number 1, I do have the New England Patriots, AFC East champs. They're going to have home field advantage throughout the playoffs as long as they win against Buffalo and the New York Jets, their last 2 games. So they're sitting at my number 1 spot at 11-3.
Not a bad top 5 there. Switched it around just a little bit, but number 5, I've got the Jags back in there. I think that's the best defense in the NFL right now. They are the best scoring defense right now. They're only giving up 209 points allowed to them. They're getting it done without their best 3 wide receivers at the start of the season. Blake Bortles is managing the games well. Really with this defense, it's almost like the Ravens were back with Ray Lewis. If you can just have a manageable quarterback, they're going to keep you in the game. So I like this Jaguars team. I dropped the Steelers down. I think the loss of Brown is a bigger loss to the Steelers than Wentz for the Eagles. Brown is a huge part of this passing game. He really does a lot to open up the other wide receivers and to open up the field for Bell. And I kind of didn't like the way that Big Ben lost his cool there in the last couple seconds of that game. You expect out of a veteran quarterback, to kind of keep his cool and not have that mistake with the fake spike.
Okay.
Number 3, I've got the Eagles there. I'm going to leave them there. Foles came in, 4 TDs, like you said. He kind of calmed all of us Eagle fans down. He's an adequate quarterback. I do not like as many yards as they gave up to the Giants in the passing game, but Eli was just airing it out at pretty much every play of that game. I think he threw the ball about 57 times.
Yeah, he threw it a lot.
So, that's tough for any defense. Special teams came up huge. We had a blocked field goal, to block punt. So, they're getting it done on all sides of the ball, but the defense does have to shore things up a little bit. I moved the Vikings up to number 2, second best scoring defense. They've only gave up 242 points all season long. I think it's a very strong defense. Case Keenum is just getting it done. So I'm putting them at number 2. And number 1, the Patriots. They just win. They're not the prettiest wins that they are, but they are winning. I do think after the Miami loss, we see how important Gronkowski is to them. I kind of downplayed that, I think, when we talked about the suspension and that they had Bennett that could fill in at tight end. But it's clear how important Gronkowski is to this offense and to Brady, just to kind of open up the spacing. So, these are some tough teams to have in there. I've got Jags 5, Steelers 4, Eagles 3, Vikings 2, Patriots 1. I had to leave some good teams out. I know you left some good teams out. Who's on your outskirts?
This was a tough power ranking, Josh. It was tough to rank these teams. We did have to leave some good teams out, like you said. On the outside, I've got the Jags right there on the edge. I think you had them at number 5. I've got them sitting on the outskirts. I still feel the Rams are a better football team than the Jags if they were to meet head-to-head. Bortles is playing with confidence right now, and their defense, like you said, is giving up the fewest points allowed in the league. But still got them sitting right on the outside. I'm just not solely convinced in Blake Bortles yet once he gets into the playoffs.
Trust him.
I don't know. He's going to have to win a playoff game for me to trust him. Also, along with the Jags sitting on the outskirts, I've got the Panthers. Cam and that offense is starting to get it, starting to pull it together. They're doing just enough to win. Defense is still solid. They did pick Aaron Rodgers off 3 times. Also, just to throw a third team out there, sitting right on the edge there, I got the Saints. Ingram and Kamara still running the ball effectively, taking a lot of pressure off Drew Brees. And they've still got one of the top defenses in the league. So I got them sitting right there on the edge. Who do you have on the outside looking in, Josh?
I've got the Rams, Saints, and Panthers on the edge there. The Rams, they could have been my number 5 team, but I just like this defense of the Jags a little bit more. The Saints, Panthers, both are getting it done. Yeah, I think that's just definitely going to set up some great playoff games. So once we have everything finalized out.
Speaking of playoffs, we're kind of looking here at what it would look like if the season ended today. Just taking a look at the AFC, looks like the number 1 seed would be the Patriots. Number 2 seed would be the Steelers. They would both have first-round byes. The wild card teams are looking like right now the Chiefs at 4, Titans at 5. The 3rd seed would be the Jags, playing the 6th seed, the Bills. Is there anything that kind of stands out with that to you, Josh?
I don't think really anything stands out. I think maybe the Titans, they might get pushed to hold on to the 5 seed. Also, the Bills, they may have a hard time holding on to the 6 seed because they're going to have to play the Patriots this week.
Is there anybody just kind of right there in the hunt that you think, because I think you got Baltimore, Los Angeles, Oakland, and Miami still alive. Any of those teams you think could possibly jump up in there to the wild card?
I think the Baltimore's probably got the easiest road. They've got the Colts this week coming up there, so they should be able to get the win on that one. So, I mean, as it plays out there, I think Buffalo may be the odd man out. I think they're going to look back on the season. In that game, they benched Tyrod and put in Peterman. That was a game that they probably could have won if they really stuck with Tyrod on that. I think they're going to look back and really question why they did that.
Yeah, that was a pretty big mistake. I didn't really understand why they did that with Tyrod, but that could come back to haunt them.
Yeah, definitely. Now let's switch over to the NFC and look at that one real quick. Eagles lock up the number 1 seed. They're going to have home field advantage. Vikings at number 2, so both of those teams have a bye. Then you're going to have the Rams playing the Falcons, and then Panthers playing the Saints. These are in the wild card round there. They're teams that are pretty familiar with one another this season, so those should make for some interesting matchups. Trav's looking kind of at the same way. Do you think there's any teams that may sneak into the playoffs from the NFC?
I've already said I'm pretty much counting Seattle out at this point. They've got Dallas and Arizona left. I'm not sure with Zeke being back if they can beat Dallas. They'll probably handle Arizona, but I just don't think that one more win at 9-6 is going to be enough to get them in. Unless Atlanta falters against the Saints and the Panthers in the last 2 weeks. So it is quite possible if Atlanta loses to the Saints, which that game is on the road in New Orleans, so the Saints would be at home in the Dome. They always play pretty good there. Then they would have Carolina coming to Atlanta. So, I mean, it's possible. I mean, if the Saints and the Panthers beat Atlanta, maybe we do see Seattle jump up in there if they can beat Dallas and Arizona.
Watch out for the Lions, too. They've got a pretty easy schedule there, so, I mean, they could make a nice jump as well.
Don't sleep on Dallas. I mean, they do have Zeke Elliott back. They're at 8-6. They've got versus Seattle and then at Philly. So, I mean, that would be 2 tough games to pull off to get in. So I do think Seattle might have a better chance of getting in before Dallas.
So as we talk about this, you can kind of see what the importance of next week is going to be. We look ahead to Week 16. There's really only 3 games that are in play. You got the Cleveland-Chicago game, the Denver-Washington game, and the New York Giants versus Arizona. Those are the only 3 matchups that don't have teams that are in playoff contention. So it's going to make for some very exciting games, must-watch games. What do you got there, Trav?
My first must-watch game is definitely that Atlanta at New Orleans game, 1 p.m. on Fox. I mean, Matt Ryan's got to go in there to New Orleans and get a win if they want to keep that number 6 spot there.
Yeah, for sure. That's going to be a huge game. I think you got to watch the Rams-Titans game. Both of those teams are in the playoff hunt. Buffalo, New England, and then maybe the game that you talked about there, Seattle versus Dallas, with Zeke back on that one.
Definitely got to be watching that Seattle-Dallas game. Just another game that both teams desperate for a win there to see if they can keep their playoff hopes alive.
I love hearing that music, Trav. It really gets me fired up. I wish I could say the same for the games. We had 5 games on Saturday. Out of those, we had Boise State taking on Oregon. That was probably the key matchup that we had there, the most recognized programs. Boise State really took care of business in that one and put it away. Really the most entertaining game, or the closest game, was Marshall taking on Colorado State. That one's 31-28 with Marshall winning that one. But, we're going to look ahead to some of the games that come up. We've got 9 games. The games I don't think are going to be that entertaining, but probably the bowl games, the names of them are going to be the most entertaining.
Yeah, like you said, the music gets you excited, but the most exciting thing about this is the names of these bowls games, Josh. I mean, these games are really not doing much. I don't think we got any ranked teams in any of these games.
We don't.
So, yeah, definitely looking at the name of these bowls are about the most exciting thing. I mean, we got the Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl.
Boy.
So, I guess this is the P. Diddy Bowl, Bad Boy Bowl.
It is.
So, that Bad Boy Mowers Gasparilla Bowl, it's going to be Temple versus Florida International. Another one we saw was the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. I think everybody gets free fries and potato chips at that one.
Sounds good.
Central Michigan versus Wyoming.
If there's one that you just want to sit down and watch, check it out. It's going on actually tonight as we're recording there. Akron versus Florida Atlantic. See how Lane Kiffin does. I'm sure he'll be pretty entertaining in this game and then after the game on social media. So really the most exciting part of college football this week is going to be National Signing Day on Wednesday. This is when all the seniors announce, and they're going to really sign their letter of intent, make it official. We'll have to look at this as we get back onto our regular episodes in a week or two. You really push some of the classes were the top 5 recruiting classes that were out there.
Welcome, everyone, to One Up. I'm your host, Jacob the Intern. Around the table, I've got Josh, a.k.a. Never Wrong, and Trav, a.k.a. Always Right. In my hand are 3 questions, and I'm sure these two are ready to talk just to hear themselves talk. In the end, we'll be right where we started, as neither will admit the other has a valid point. Question 1. This one goes to Trav. The NFL uses a folded piece of paper to determine a first down in the Dallas-Oakland game. Is it time for a change from the chains?
No, we have to keep these traditional values entrenched in the game that we all love, called football. We got to keep these old school values, the legacy and the rules of the game in place. The game started with the chain gang, 10 yards of chain that these guys hold during the game. You got to keep it. The index card was used in that game. That made for great TV. But, it comes down to the fact this is not a perfect science when you're using these chains. You're relying on the referee to run across the field, and he's either going to give you that left foot or he's going to give you that right foot. You might get that first down, you might not. It's not always going to be 100% correct, but that's why we have instant replay and, 10 different camera angles so we can determine where the ball was down at. So, these refs are just out here, just to give us an idea where that ball's down at. We can always go to instant replay. Got to keep the human element in the game. Stick with the sticks in this one.
Trav, I want you to show me your sundial that you use for keeping time. Can you show me your abacus that you use when you do your taxes? If I want to get up with you, should I send you a message via carrier pigeon? Times have changed. Technology has evolved. We're still using a system in the NFL that Daniel Boone used to measure the West. So it's time for them to get away from that. Don't romanticize the chains on the sidelines. It's time for the NFL to start the process to change. There's too many options out there to address this right now that can be more accurate and speed up the time of play. If lasers, GPS, and sensors under the field, they're available, just put them in play. The NFL needs a goal to have the sticks and chains gone by 2021.
Josh, you're one up. Question 2. Vince McMahon may bring back the XFL. Is this a good idea?
This is a no-brainer. Bring it back. This is a no-brainer. Bring it back. The innovation that the XFL had was remarkable. The NFL was able to get different camera angles, a lot more access that we see on the sidelines that came out of the XFL. They've learned from their mistakes that they made in the past. Maybe they can try to partner with the NFL in the future in some type of fashion. But, I believe there is a room for a summer football league.
All right, Josh, I got to disagree. At this point, the NFL is too big of a market, as well as college football. It's too big at this point for another league. The XFL wouldn't be able to compete with the NFL or the college league, college football today. When are they going to play these games? Summer league? Nobody's watching football during the summer. We've got NBA going on right now. We're going to have NBA going on during the summer. Nobody's going to watch that. This generation of millennials, they don't even know who Vince McMahon is. There's just no more innovation. There's also no more innovation that we can get from a league like this. We've already got the sports science guy. We've got Dallas Stadium with the Jumbotron as long as the field. They've got 20 different camera angles coming down from the ceiling there to give you every angle on the goal line. There's just no more innovation we can bring out of the XFL. I got to say X-nay on the XFL.
Trav, you're one up. Question 3. Jimmy Garoppolo is off to a 3-0 start since taking the starting role for the 49ers. Is San Francisco making a mistake by not tanking the season?
Definitely not, Jake. Jimmy Garoppolo is 3-0 as a starter in San Fran, and we are not making a mistake by not tanking this season. You got to take the wins. Don't tank. Take the wins. Wins build confidence in a team, especially for a young team like the Niners. We need every win we can get under our belt. We finish out the season. Went out. This team could finish 6-10 and still have a top 6 pick in the draft. Anything in the top 10 in the NFL draft is going to be a good pick. And with the team's current number of draft picks we've got stockpiled, we can always trade up in the draft if we feel like we've got our eye on a certain player. It's nothing but a Jimmy G thing. We got to take them wins.
Your team doesn't need wins. Your team needs talent. Right now, what does your team stand for? Are they a top-tier elite team? No. So face it, you're not a good team. You don't want to be middle of the pack. You need to go in there and get some of the top talent. It's not just a top 2, 3 pick that you're going to get. You need to get top players out of the 2nd, 3rd round. So if you're going to stay in the middle of the pack, you're going to get middle of the pack players. 49ers have a large amount of cap space, and they've been unable to land a top free agent. So it's clearly they're going to have to build from the draft. Now Jimmy G is sabotaging the 49ers' chance for a top 5 draft pick. The only good news you've got left on it is Jacksonville and the Rams are left on your schedule, so they'll take care of the Niners on the way out.
Josh, congratulations. You're runner-up to Trav.
Oh.
Trav, you're 2 up. You win.
Yeah. You play to win the game.
Thank you all for listening to the one-up segment. If there's a topic or question you'd like Josh and Trav to talk about on the next episode, just let us know.
All right, thanks. Jacob the intern.
Good job, Jake.
All right, Trav, let's jump into some NBA action. Really what stands out for me this week, really the first thing was old man Manu Ginobili. Spurs had him come back this year, and it looks like he's just a game winner specialist.
Yeah, it looks like Manu's still getting it done. The old guy has been around forever. Still getting it done late in the game. He's always had a knack for, taking that final shot, milking that clock down, and just going on somebody right there at the end of the game. Looks like he did that against the Mavericks with the score tied at 96. Had about 23 seconds left on the clock. He kind of just dribbled the clock out and then took it to the hole on him.
Yeah, I think that really helped him with his first game winner that he had. He just stepped back and hit a deep 3. So I think the Mavericks were thinking, well, he had a deep three against Boston for a game winner, and then he comes to play the Mavericks. I think the Mavs thought he was going to pull another deep three, and he just blew past his defender there and put it in the hole.
Yeah, right to the bucket with Ginobili there. Like I say, he's a game winner specialist, like you said.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. I mean, Ginobili, he plays the game right there. It's good to see him after all these years being able to do this. One guy that hung it up and retired was Kobe. The Lakers went ahead and honored him. We got into it early in our seasons with the who's better, Kobe 8, Kobe 24. They went ahead and retired both numbers there. It was a nice ceremony that they had for him last night.
Yeah, it was definitely nice. You had all the greats in the building. Shaq was there. I think Shaq even said Kobe was the greatest Laker to ever play. So that's big words coming from Shaq. So
Magic said the same thing too. So that's huge.
Yeah. So yeah, great night for Kobe. Him and his family getting to retire both numbers, 8 and 24. 8 was the killer, 24 was the Hall of Famer in my opinion. So definitely a good night to see him get that jersey retired against Golden State. Even though he didn't stick around for overtime in the game, I think they rolled out.
Well, I think the most interesting thing that I saw during the ceremony was Lamar Odom. He was standing beside AC Green. I'd like to just hear what the conversation that those two had about polar opposites as far as it goes. And then on the court, we've had the Rockets are still rolling. Chris Paul's came back, and since he's become a Rocket, he hasn't lost a game.
Yeah, Chris Paul's getting it done. What are they, like 14-0 with Chris?
Yeah, when he's in the lineup there, he's 14-0. Right now, he's just playing at a super efficient pace. He's scoring well for him. He's taking some of the pressure off of Harden. You just can't think, ahead when they made this trade that this was going to be how it plays out. But I think this was really a match made in heaven with Harden and Paul on the same team.
Yeah, Chris Paul's getting it done. I mean, just in his last 3 games, he's had 28, 25, and 18. The game where he had 18 against Utah, he also had 10 rebounds and 10 assists. So, I mean, Chris Paul's been getting it done since he's been back.
Cleveland may be getting their point guard back as well.
Yeah, Josh, sources close to the Cleveland Cavs say that Isaiah Thomas, point guard for the Cleveland Cavaliers, is not going to be back before Christmas, but we should see him about the second week of January.
That'll be huge for them. I mean, LeBron's been able to hold the team together, but it'll be good to have another player to take some of the pressure off of it for him. So let's switch over to college and look at it. One player that we've got that's taking a lot of the pressure for his team is Trae Young, freshman guard for Oklahoma. He had a huge upset over number 3 ranked Wichita State this weekend. This guy's just playing at a super efficient pace, putting in buckets, distributing the ball well. He's asked to do a lot, and he's getting it done right now as a freshman.
Yeah, definitely Trae Young is getting it done. If you hadn't got a chance to watch this kid play, you definitely got to check him out. You got people saying that this kid may have one of the best seasons that we've seen in the past 15 years. He did take down Wichita State earlier in the year. He's great off the pick and roll. He's a great passer, great scorer of the ball, great three-point shooter. I think even saw some stats on him tonight. He ended up with 26 points and 22 assists. So,
wow.
Yeah, he's really getting it done. That ties a D1 record for one game with assists. So,
very impressive. You're getting it done when you're getting that many points and that many assists in a game. You had some big matchups that you wanted everybody to check out there. Why don't you recap those, see how that played out?
Yeah, there was about 3 games we looked at last week. That would be some good games for you guys to check out. We had UNC taking on Tennessee. UNC was able to take down Tennessee 78-73. Virginia Tech played Kentucky. Virginia Tech kept it respectable, had a chance late to win that game. They ended up losing that one 93-86. We also had undefeated Florida State at the time taking on Oklahoma State. They did drop that one 71-70, so they did take their first loss on the season.
Yeah. Now this week the games are a little bit lighter there. I didn't really see too many big matchups to check out. I think with Christmas holiday and everything, some of the college games slowed down just a little bit. Maybe just to recap the top 10 right now, we've got Villanova, Michigan State, Arizona State, Duke, UNC. That's your top 5. And then you've got Miami, Kentucky, Texas A&M, Xavier, and West Virginia in there. Undefeated teams still, Villanova, Arizona State, Miami. And then they're ranked number 15, but TCU is also undefeated in hoops action right now. So right after the holiday break there, getting into some of the conference play, college basketball is really going to get heated up there. So I think we'll have some really good action going forward on that. And keep watching Trae Young. And some people you always got to keep an eye on. Trav, let's go ahead and get into our big dummies this week.
You big dummy, you big dummy, you big cold-blooded dummy. You big dummy, see what you did? Oh no, you big dummy. Oh no, you big dummy.
All right, Josh, our first big dummy is going to go to Juju Smith-Schuster. This is coming off of him being suspended last week for one game for an illegal hit on Vontaze Burfict. I'm pretty sure he probably got fined if he was suspended also. Yeah. So you might be asking, what did Juju do now? Well, in the game this weekend, Juju decided to use the hit that he just came off suspension for and probably got fined for as a touchdown celebration reenactment. So him and a teammate kind of reenacted the hit that he made against Burfict. I don't think it drew any flags or anything, but I'm sure the league office is going to take a look at it. So he might end up getting fined again for this and possibly even suspended. So we got to hit him with it.
You big dummy.
Our second big dummy of the week, kind of a controversial pick as a big dummy here at If It's Sports, but I got to give a big dummy award to David Carr. Is that David?
Give it to his brother, Derek.
Derek was involved in the game with Oakland and the Cowboys. Late in the game, big game, close game, with the game on the line, Derek needs a first down to keep the drive going. Derek gets the first down, but in the meantime, Derek decides to dive for the end zone with the ball outstretched across, or what was an attempt to get it across the goal line. When he was hit pretty hard in the back and the ball came loose, ended up going out the back of the end zone, and that was called a touchback, and the Oakland Raiders lost the game.
Pretty much there went their season.
Pretty much there went Oakland's season out the back of the end zone. So got to give Derek a big dummy because for trying to play hero ball here instead of getting that first down and at the least kicking a field goal to go into overtime.
You big dummy.
All right, Trav, it looks like it's going to wrap up another episode for us.
Yep, that's another episode in the books. Let's go ahead and get out of here.
Thanks for listening, and if you enjoyed the show, please help us out with subscribe on your favorite platform.
To find all our listening services and social media accounts, check out our website, ifitsports.com. Select the Listen to Podcast link from the top menu. And remember, if it's sports,
we're talking about it.